11 Alive News starts now.
Good morning on this Thursday, January 8th. I'm Dan Kennedy. Great to be with you here from the 11 Alive Streaming Center. We got a packed hour for you planned from here inside the Streaming Center. A new way of bringing you the news, and our thanks to our producers Reams, Gabby, and Jason helping us out here today, bringing you a variety of stories. We're going to get to Minneapolis in just a moment, but first I want to tell you what's happening live right now here in Metro Atlanta. There is discussion going on as we speak about MARTA and how officials are preparing for the World Cup. The World Cup, by the way, just 5 months out, and they are going to have a ton of ridership, as you could imagine. People from all over the world going to be here in Atlanta looking to get to and from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, looking to get to and from restaurants and hotels. So how is MARTA going to be able to handle this logistically and this significant increase in ridership? Well, they're talking about that right now. And this Georgia House State Legislative Oversight Committee had started at about 9:30. They're going over some budget stuff right now, and we expect pretty soon they're going to be discussing the World Cup, and we're going to be listening in and bringing you any news that comes of that. But now let's get to Minnesota and some growing outrage, not just in Minneapolis and the state capital there, Minneapolis, St. Paul, but also nationwide after an ICE officer shot and killed a 37-year-old woman yesterday. Maybe you've seen the video by now. It's no doubt disturbing. We do want to give you one view of that video, and then we're going to get to some of the narratives and conflicting narratives that we are hearing from both federal officials and from the mayor there in the city. So a little background for you. This officer shot and killed a woman who's since been identified as 37-year-old Renee Good on this Minneapolis street. You see there is snow on the ground. Video there shows one officer at the driver's door, another standing in front of that vehicle, and you're going to see it here again running on loop. When the driver apparently accelerates forward and to the right, that's when shots are fired. It's coming up here in just a minute. You see that truck pull up on the left-hand side of your screen. The victim in that purplish maroon SUV, that Honda. And in just seconds, there you go. You see the car leaving. And then the shots. She was shot and killed. Renee Good died there at the scene. There has been outrage. There has been fallout. And we are hearing from Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, who is defending the officer's actions and very quickly after the incident had this to say.
I want to reiterate first with all of you the facts of what happened today. At 10:25 a.m. Central Time, Immigration and Customs Enforcement were carrying out lawful operations here in Minneapolis. Because of the adverse weather that Minneapolis has seen in recent snow, one of the vehicles became stuck and ensnared in the snow. Law enforcement were attempting to push out this vehicle, and when a mob of agitators that were harassing them all day began blocking them in, shouting at them, and impeding law enforcement operations. ICE officers and agents approached the vehicle of the individual in question, who was blocking the officers in with her vehicle, and she had been stalking and impeding their work all throughout the day. ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism.
So that is the federal narrative from yesterday. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, though, says that explanation does not hold up. He had this to say, and he also had a very blunt message for the ICE agents who are in his city. The Minneapolis mayor speaking in a news conference that came a little later in the day, speaking in the afternoon. Here's more from Minneapolis Mayor Frey.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you.
So as that political fallout is growing, the community no doubt grieving. Minneapolis, a community that sadly has been used to this. They've been the center of protests and outrage and grief in the past. You had George Floyd just about 5 years ago, 6 years ago now. And then over the summer in Minneapolis, you had those lawmakers who were targeted and shot. One of them shot and killed alongside her spouse in that targeted shooting. And now there are growing memorials that we're seeing in Minneapolis as we're taking this live look from Minneapolis. You see this not far, I believe, from the scene where this happened. You have protests unfolding, though not here currently. In fact, mostly what we're seeing here, news media staking out, doing their live shots. But we are told that there are a number of vigils planned, a number of protests planned, and the governor, Tim Walz, urging calm as the FBI joining this investigation. Let's get more from one of those vigils that was held last night, same day that 37-year-old Renee Good was shot and killed in Minneapolis.
A member of our community was killed in this very spot protecting her neighbor.
A growing crowd is responsible for this growing memorial as day turns to night on Portland Avenue in Minneapolis and people gather to remember 37-year-old Renee Good.
This is thousands of people. It's just remarkable.
Reverend Sarah Campbell says leaders of all faiths are here to stand in solidarity with their neighbors.
My daughter lives just on the corner there, and she was in the neighborhood and saw the shooting.
It could have been any of us.
As ICE raids continue, organizers with the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee and Twin Cities Coalition for Justice say Renee's death will only empower them to keep fighting. They're demanding that the federal agent responsible for her death be held accountable and prosecuted while calling on ICE to leave Minnesota.
Our community needs us more than ever right now. That's right. Every single one of us.
I'm beyond the thoughts and prayers. I'm enraged now.
A rage and sadness shared by parents who brought their children, neighbors who are with their friends, and people showing up on their own.
You come out here, you speak up.
But still showing up.
You say something.
It's indescribable how sad and how horrific this act of violence is.
It's hard to know exactly what comes next, but as they hold each other, people in this growing crowd say they'll hold on to Renee's memory as they continue showing up.
Her name was Renee. Her name was Renee. Her name was Renee. Her name.
That was the vigil last night in Minneapolis. This again, a live look right now, not far from the scene where this happened. I can tell you that 12 city council members there in the city issued a joint statement saying that, quote, anyone who kills someone in our city deserves to be arrested, investigated, and prosecuted. Now, whether that happens remains to be seen. Obviously, there's going to be an investigation into this deadly shooting. Who exactly is looking into that? We're still unsure of that. Is it the FBI? Is it the state police? Is it local police? Is it the feds? This case likely to be handed over to the local district attorney, who could then decide whether to bring charges, something that could take weeks, months even, but certainly a story that is not going anywhere. And coming up in just about 50 minutes, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem set to hold a news conference, speaking at 11 o'clock this morning, and we'll be monitoring that to see if any news comes from that. And we're back in just a couple minutes. Still plenty more to follow here out of Metro Atlanta, including a live report from outside the College Football Hall of Fame as Indiana and Oregon set to face each other tomorrow night in the Peach Bowl here in the city. See you in 2. Hey, welcome back here to 11 Alive Plus. Great to be with you for the next hour here in our streaming center. You know, yesterday we were talking with a couple of our colleagues at our sister station, WTHR in Indianapolis. They've been covering this incredible Indiana football team all season long. Indiana here in town, set to face Oregon tomorrow night at the Peach Bowl. And we're happy to be joined this morning by another colleague there, Sam Johnson from our sister station, WTHR. She is, it looks to be inside the College Football Hall of Fame. Welcome to Atlanta, Sam, and I imagine you must be loving the 60 degrees in January.
Oh, Dan, thank you so much. It's been a warm welcome so far, and we're happy to be inside the College Football Hall of Fame. Obviously, this place is no stranger to you guys. I gotta say, it's my first time here as a college football fan. I am loving every minute of it. In fact, what's happening right here behind us is the joint press conference with both IU's Curt Cignetti and Oregon's Dan Lanning. It's wrapping up just now. Coaches taking questions, talking about the upcoming matchup tomorrow night, and really expressing a lot of respect for both teams. Lanning talked about how it's such a privilege to play a team like Indiana, and Curt Cignetti saying he has a lot of respect for the Ducks out in Oregon. Last week, we heard from Curt Cignetti, who said, you know what, listen, it's sort of a rematch of sorts in the Big Ten. Oregon and Indiana, they played just a few weeks ago. And he said it's hard to beat a great team twice, but just a few moments ago, he clarified. He said it's hard to be a great team at all. So there is a lot of competition that we're looking forward to, Dan. Coming up tomorrow night right here in Atlanta.
Cannot wait. I mean, we got two great teams, two incredible coaches. And by the way, props to your coach, Curt Cignetti, who, if I understand correctly, just won Coach of the Year award at that news conference.
Yes, the Dodd Trophy. This is one of the most prestigious Coaches of the Year award that we see in college football. Curt Cignetti talked about, obviously, it's such a privilege to win that award, but he also talked about how it's such a team award after all, and how it's not just one player or one coach to make the success possible. It's really a team atmosphere. If you haven't been down to the College Football Hall of Fame in the last week or so, I want to show you right behind here. Take a look. Obviously, you know the lobby is beautiful, right? Right now, we're highlighting a few very important teams. So take a look here. This is the Indiana Shrine, if you will. We have things from Antoine Randall L. here for all our Indiana fans. We have Lee Corso in the building as well. And then if you take just a few steps this way, you'll see our honor to Oregon, right? We have to be fair. We're doing both sides. This one's cool. It's got, obviously, Oregon's known for their beautiful uniforms. This one's pretty cool, Dan. I think Oregon's got us beat in the uniform department.
Oregon, always good for a flashy uni. I kind of like your traditional look, though, and certainly love the way you guys are playing some traditional ball. I think Indiana favored by like a field goal going into this game. I mean, this is a rematch. How are fans feeling about that? Are they feeling okay knowing that they beat this team by 10 points just a few months ago, or is everybody still kind of a little nervous?
It's interesting because we've heard from fans, coaching staff, even the players who say, yes, we did go to Eugene, and yes, we did beat the Ducks 30-20 just a few weeks ago, but that was a different team for both teams, right? Different teams, different part of the season. This is almost a whole new rematch. We heard last night, once the Hoosiers got into Atlanta, from the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, they all said, listen, we're treating this as if it's a brand new ball game because this is a different point in the season and there's so much more on the line here. Different injuries that they're nursing compared to a few weeks ago. So to answer your question, fans feel a little more confidence going into this one, knowing we've kind of been there, done that. But it is no defeat, to say the least, to the Ducks because we know they're going to put up a fight tomorrow night.
So, Sam, I imagine the team has maybe been here for a couple days now. What's prep like for them leading up to tomorrow night? And what about fans? You seen a lot of Indy fans around you? What are they doing enjoying Atlanta?
Yeah, in fact, let me see. Okay, if I show you over here, I see some cream and crimson checking into the College Football Hall of Fame right now. We have seen a lot of Hoosier fans coming through the doors just since they opened at 10 o'clock to the public a few moments ago. To answer your question about the team and what they're doing to get ready, we know they have their final walkthrough, both teams do, this afternoon ahead of tomorrow. So when we just heard from Oregon head coach Dan Lanning and Indiana head coach Curt Cignetti, that was really the last time we'll hear from them before tomorrow night's matchup inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So final practice walkthrough today, that's closed to the public. We will not be able to see that, obviously, before we see them take the field coming up tomorrow night.
Sam, great having you on the show. Great having you here in Georgia. I love you're getting the true Southern welcome to with Sweet Home Alabama playing in the background. And how we do it here in the South is we say, roll tide roll in between verses.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see you around. Have a good time. All right. Great having our colleagues there at WTHR as we take a live look at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The excitement building leading up to tomorrow night's matchup. Indiana, #1 team in the country, facing off against Oregon Ducks, #5 for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, kicking off at 7:30 p.m. Man, that's going to be a fun game right here in our backyard. All right, coming up here in just a couple minutes, we have some more sports news. Did you hear about the big Trae Young trade? He's now gone from the Hawks, and he left mid-game. More on that bizarre story in a minute. And also, what's the latest with the Falcons as they search for a new head coach? We'll see you on the other side of this break. We were just talking about the Peach Bowl, all the excitement building for that big game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium tomorrow night. A lot of people taking MARTA as they head down there, and we continue to follow a big meeting happening right now at the state level, and I want to show you, we'll just dip into that real quick. See if they are discussing anything related to the World Cup, because we know that they are discussing how they are going to be preparing MARTA for all this influx of fans over the summer. Just 5 months away now. Let's see if they're saying anything about the World Cup. All right, well, we lost the audio there, but we are going to be keeping an eye on that here in-house and let you know if they do start discussing the World Cup. It's going to be a big story, no doubt, in how MARTA is preparing for it. A lot of you we know do take public transit. If you head down to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, maybe you head down to State Farm Arena, where they had a big game last night against the Pelicans. And some big news coming out of that game last night. Happy to be joined by our sports anchor, Maria Martin, here in studio to break down. Yes, we're going to talk about the Falcons in a minute, but I got to start by asking you about Trae Young going to Washington mid-game last night when that news hit, but not totally unexpected, right?
Not for Trae. You know, I knew that this was going to be a possibility. Over the last couple of days, I'd been hearing that those reports were true, that Trae Young, the conversation of him and his camp trying to find a trade partner, that was the trickiest part for Atlanta and for Trae specifically, is that they had been looking for the best fit for Trae and what was next. And there's a lot of connections between Trae and Washington. The one that jumps out to me is that the former general manager here, Travis Schlenk, he's in the front office of the Washington Wizards. He believes so much in Trae Young. He has ever since he drafted him. 7.5 years ago. And so he was probably a big pillar of this making sense. And I knew that, you know, this was something that we'd put in the rumor mill for the last 3 straight years. Trey was always brought up. It has not worked for Trey here in the way that he or the Hawks would have wanted. And so this was always a possibility. Mid-game was, you know, theatric, and that's how the NBA works.
Right.
And it was interesting for sure. But I know that a lot of Hawks fans are going to miss him. He's a very polarizing player, though. You either love Trey and you're all in, or you're glad to see him go. There's no two ways.
You want it a little more. I mean, a bittersweet goodbye. Do you think Atlanta's going to come out a winner on the other side of this deal?
That's a really good question, and I would hope so. It certainly shows that there was a big shift happening with the Atlanta Hawks. For years, the indication was it's Trey's team, and it has been. He's been their franchise player for 7.5 years, and they're going to build around him. This is the first offseason, talking about this past offseason, where they actually did put all of those words into play, going out and getting different players. And remember, Trae Young was at the forefront of that. He's the one that recruited all these guys here. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Kristaps Porzingis. He was the one that was telling them, hey, come to Atlanta, we're building something special here. Obviously, he didn't know a couple months later he'd be traded away to the Washington Wizards and his time here would be cut short. But it's unfortunate for everyone. I want Atlanta Hawks fans to understand that what Trey did here was really special.
Yeah.
Leading them to that crazy Eastern Conference Finals run that I was a part of back in 2021. I was flying between here and Milwaukee every other day. It was such a blast. And then you think back to whenever he stepped on the ref's ankle and he rolls his ankle, and you think, what could have been if Trey was healthy down the stretch in the Eastern Conference Finals. But man, I hope he gets the standing ovation he deserves when the Washington Wizards come here in February. And I hope that the Hawks are on the better end of this deal. And look, it frees up a lot of money, so they're going to go out and get somebody else.
What, some $45 million or so? I mean, you can do a lot with that cash. You can go out and get a star player, maybe like an Anthony Davis. I mean, how soon could this happen?
Yeah, he's the name that everyone has linked to the next move for the Hawks. And their new general manager, Ansi Saleh, he's always talked about optionality and wanting different options. You don't have a lot when you have money like that on the books from Trey, and so that was always going to be the mission, is moving it off and moving in this different direction. When you now realize you have a very big superstar in Jalen Johnson, the players, I thought their reactions were very interesting. Not that I didn't think they didn't get along with Trey. We all know they've been good teammates in the past, but they were really sad to hear this news, especially mid-game. They're all professionals. It's not like they're going to be crying on the side of the court, but they know, hey, we got to finish out this game, and then we're going to deal with whatever the fallout is of Trey leaving. And so I think what's interesting about this whole thing is you're going to hear this in the coming days, which, remember, it's still not announced by both of these teams. So this deal is happening, and what people told me who are in the mix of this deal said it's in the process of being finalized. Remember, the NBA trade deadline is still weeks away. That's also one of the more interesting things about this, is this happened earlier than we would have expected.
Yeah.
But when it does become official, I think that you're going to see a lot of changes for the Hawks. And I do think that an Anthony Davis could make sense, especially when you have expiring contracts of other players. That's going to free up even more money. So this is a new era of Hawks basketball, even more than we talked about in the offseason. It's fun.
All right, you got me excited for it.
Yeah.
You got me excited for the Falcons, too, when we were talking earlier this week with some of the new changes unfolding there, too. I mean, what a week it's been for Atlanta sports.
Help.
I know you need the help, and you got a great team helping you out, for example, with this news conference with Arthur Blank starting very soon.
Yeah, what time is it? 10:24. I'm going to be jumping off of this and going to the Arthur Blank Foundation in just a minute.
Okay, well, I'll let you go in a minute. But
No, you're good.
What questions do you have for Arthur, and what are you expecting to learn from that news conference today?
Well, when we did this with Arthur Blank 2 years ago, when there was the changeover in another head coach, when Raheem Morris was brought here to Atlanta, it was an hour-and-a-half long press conference with the owner. And he's very gracious with his time. Anytime he does talk to us, he wants to make sure all of our questions are answered. I expect a full contingent of media there. I think it's going to be another lengthy press conference because there are a lot of questions. It's going to go back to what happened with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. Were you involved in that, or did you just sign off on it? Whose idea was it? Who's he going to tie it to? Was it a collaborative effort? There's a lot of questions around this franchise and this organization. Where are you going? What fit does a head coach need to be to make this team successful? The questions for Arthur are infinite, so I think it's going to maybe go over an hour and a half today. That's what I would think. It's going to be long, but they're also very busy because remember, as we talked about, a couple days ago, Dan, they are in the midst of trying to fill several different roles for this front office. Matt Ryan, we talked about, he's still considered the favorite to take that job, even though I know people are freaking out because they see other names that are being interviewed for this position. The Falcons have to do that, by the way. They have to do their due diligence and interview everybody. I still expect it to be Matt Ryan. A lot of people still believe that he's the favorite and he is the front runner of that conversation. But by the end of the day, they're going to have all of those interviews wrapped up. The seismic news that you and I didn't even talk about is the Ravens getting rid of John Harbaugh after 18 seasons.
Frees up a great coach for somebody out there.
And the Falcons better be on the phones. And I know they were. In the 45 minutes after John Harbaugh was fired, his agent said every single vacant position was calling him, which obviously that's what's going to happen. But now it's been said that he's going to take a little bit more time and try to weigh his options, and he should. He's going to have every option out there that he can imagine. This, to me, still signals a very good job. I mentioned it to you a couple days ago. This is a great opportunity. So if Atlanta could get John Harbaugh, I think that's fantastic. But again, they're going to do those head coaching interviews. There's going to be due diligence. I still think this is going to be a rapid process. That is just the tip of the iceberg of the questions for Mr. Blank, for sure.
Wow. Harbaugh, I believe, 63 years old or so. I mean, does it make sense for him to take a job like Atlanta where, by the way, the roster's already kind of built out for you? You got a great offense there. I mean, he could come in and finish out his career here. Does it make sense on paper for him to take a Falcons job or something else where he might have to work on rebuilding?
There's no question, and there's a lot of experts that believe that this is the destination where he should go. Now, a lot of people believe he is the favorite to go to the New York Giants, a similar situation, except for, here's the caveat with New York, they think they have the quarterback position figured out with Jackson Dart. Here, we're in a little bit more of a conundrum where you're going to need a bridge quarterback to figure out if Michael Penix Jr. comes back and he's not as healthy or as put together as the previous regime would have thought, then what do? You bridge that quarterback between Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. Because remember, what's tricky about Michael Penix Jr., and I hate it for him because this is not exactly how he wanted it to play out and we didn't as well. This new regime coming in, talking about general manager and head coach both, have zero allegiance to Michael Penix Jr. They can do whatever they want with him, so keep that in mind. And who knows what he looks like when he comes back, which will be a couple games into the season next year. But for John Harbaugh, you come to a place where, as you mentioned, Dan, there are key pieces in place to win here. You're in a terrible division, as I illustrated a couple days ago. And if you make the playoffs in your first year, maybe even your second year, we'll give them some grace, even though I think the right coach could take them there next year because of how bad the NFC South is. Look at the expectations around the fan base. This is a fan base that hasn't been to the playoffs in 8 straight seasons. You take them there in the first 2 years, best coach we've ever had.
Of course. Build
Why
a statue.
would that not make sense for John Harbaugh? I think it's awesome.
All right. Wow, we'll have to wait and see. What are the chances Kirk Cousins comes back next year? Is there a chance he doesn't?
I think there's a chance he doesn't, for sure, and especially the reconstructure of his contract within the last couple of days, freeing up a little bit of money, indicates that there is some wiggle room for him to move. And look, he closed out the season in a great way. He was playing better. I don't want to say it was solely because of Kirk Cousins in the way that they closed out the season with 4 straight wins, but I do think that it is possible we don't see Kirk Cousins here at the beginning of the year. That's always kind of been a possibility. He illustrated wanting to be back here. What's he going to say? I want to leave? No way. And him and his wife are happy here. It would be nice to see him here, but again, that's a lot of money. And what they're going to want to do is free that up if you can find a quarterback that makes sense to bridge the gap for the next couple years.
All right. Maybe Trey Young could share the number for his movers.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, Maria.
He probably knows it.
we know you got to get to this news conference with Arthur Blank, so thank you. We'll be watching for more news soon.
You bet.
All right. Great to have her as always. And we'll be back in just a couple more minutes. Plenty of news and your forecast straight ahead. It is 10:30 on this Thursday, January 8th, and it's nice to be with you here on 11 Alive Plus from our new streaming center. Still following the big news out of Minneapolis and fallout after that fatal shooting between an ICE officer and a 37-year-old woman identified as Renee Good. Happened yesterday very close to the area where you are now looking live. A growing vigil is set up there. It appears perhaps some folks either coming to pay their respects or potentially some protests gathering. We do know here in Atlanta, a rally is set for a little later today. It's the Stop ICE Terror Rally. It's going to be held tonight at the Georgia State Capitol. And coming up in just about 30 minutes, we are expected to hear from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. She is set to speak on immigration. We heard her very soon in the hours after the shooting yesterday, deflecting blame from the ICE officers onto the woman who was shot and killed. We will see what she has to say in 30 minutes. By the way, the mayor of Minneapolis saying that narrative from the federal government not lining up with what is shown in eyewitness video. And now we want to talk about the weather here at home as we take a live look at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Big weekend here in Atlanta. You got Indiana versus Oregon at the Peach Bowl set for 7:30 there tomorrow night. Jesse McNeil here in the studio with us. A lot of folks going to be tailgating, getting ready for that game tomorrow, but is it going to be a soggy tailgate?
Yes.
Oh,
to say the least. Yeah, we do have the chance for some scattered showers to push into the area by tomorrow. So, yeah, we need the rain, but obviously we don't want it at times where we could have a good time outside, but we'll take the rain at this point.
Maybe they can hang out inside the College Football Hall of Fame. I think they do some pregame tailgating stuff there.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
All right. Any rain today?
No. We do have the clouds in place, though, and we have the appearance of rain. But if you take a look at our satellite radar composite, it shows where we just have a few we had that fog once again in the morning, but the fog is now lifting, getting out of the way. But we'll have cloudy skies for the most part. Look back off to the west. You see that line of showers and thunderstorms there? And that red box, that indicates a tornado watch. We've had tornado warnings associated with that thunderstorm line. That's not headed in our direction. That's moving more up toward the north and east. So places like Tennessee, into West Virginia, they'll get into some of that a little bit later on this afternoon. We're tracking a front that's back off to the west of us. That's going to bring the rain our way as well, but it's also going to bring those colder temperatures I've been telling you about, Dan, and I know you like. You're looking at that green area there that indicates a level 1 threat, or what we call a marginal risk for severe weather. It means isolated, strong to severe thunderstorms. That yellow, a little bit further back off to the west where we have the thunderstorms now, indicates a level 2. Now, this whole system will intensify a bit tomorrow as it moves to the east. You notice now that Louisiana through Alabama has the level 2 threat, or the slight risk for severe weather. The level 1 threat now extends into our state. We're talking about our far northwestern counties, Dade, Walker County, and extends all the way down into the metro area. Again, isolated, strong to severe thunderstorms. I think a lot of that will be found in our far northwestern counties, and then it makes its way further down toward the metro. By Saturday, we're looking at all of North Georgia under that level 1 threat. So you're looking at isolated, strong, severe thunderstorms. Very heavy rain will be associated with this. We may be talking about 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. We don't want it all at once, but certainly we need that rain. And that 7-day, I know you love the 7-day. So we're looking at 72 degrees for the high temperature on Friday. If we hit that 72, we'll tie a record.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how warm it's going to be. We'll stay warm for Saturday, but it will be a soggy day. And then behind that front, the bottom falls out. A lot of college kids going back to school on Monday will go back to 29-degree temperatures, and then we'll get up to 48, so below the average. We'll stay there for Monday. Then we're getting back to the 50s by the time we get to Tuesday and Wednesday of next week.
All right, my 3-year-old son is learning about the months of the year.
Is that right?
And last night he said, Dad, January is hot. He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong at all. Yeah, way above our average. We should be in the low 50s for highs this time of year. Yeah.
Okay, Chesley, thanks.
You got it.
All right, let's take another live look from Minneapolis. Big story we continue to follow out of there, that fallout from the shooting involving an ICE agent last night, a 37-year-old woman shot and killed. Rather, that happened yesterday morning. As you're taking a look at a growing vigil there, growing memorial, that not far from the scene of where that deadly shooting unfolded yesterday. Governor Walz there placing the Minnesota National Guard on standby. The lieutenant governor in that state calling it an unspeakable act of violence and demanding ICE to leave Minnesota. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, the federal government, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem saying that Renee Good, the woman shot and killed, was blocking an ICE vehicle that became stuck in the snow, and then she defended the officer's actions. A big story will continue to follow. In the meantime, we're back after this short break. Hey, welcome back. We continue to follow breaking news as it happens, not just here in Metro Atlanta, but across the nation. If something's happening right now, we're keeping an eye on it for you. And happening right now at our nation's capital, there is a subcommittee on health holding a hearing right now talking about ways to improve legislation, all focused on improving Medicare payment policy, something that affects many of you or somebody you know. And they're also talking about expanding access to care for seniors. So the gentleman you see talking right now is Congressman Morgan Griffith from Virginia. And he clearly questioning somebody right now. And so let's listen in and see what they're talking about when it comes to Medicare.
President of the American Clinical Laboratory Association. ACLA is a trade association representing leading laboratories that develop and deliver essential diagnostic tests for patients and providers across the country. Ensuring innovation in diagnostics and broad patient access to necessary testing requires a Medicare payment system that is fair, accurate, and predictable. Regrettably, the clinical laboratory fee schedule, the only Medicare payment system which statute requires be based on commercial market rates, suffers from significant foundational flaws. Current payment rates are inaccurate, artificially low, and still based on incomplete data from 2016. We are now 23 days away from Medicare cuts to about 800 tests of as much as 15%, hitting laboratories across the country, impacting most significantly routine tests used every day to care for Medicare patients. ACLA strongly endorses the Results Act as a common-sense, smart policy approach to reforming the clinical laboratory fee schedule and preventing deep Medicare cuts from taking effect January 31st. America's clinical laboratories are an indispensable part of the healthcare system, delivering tremendous value to patients and clinicians. Laboratory tests screen for disease, provide diagnostic information that informs clinical care, support increasingly personalized medicine, contribute to the discovery of new therapies, and help identify emerging pathogens. From routine tests used to diagnose and monitor a wide range of diseases to biomarker testing that enables clinicians to better target treatments, particularly in cancer care. Laboratory testing helps patients avoid ineffective therapies while improving outcomes and reducing unnecessary costs. Laboratory test results serve as the GPS for healthcare decision-making, informing roughly 70% of medical decisions, while payments to the clinical laboratory fee schedule account for less than 1% of total Medicare spending, or approximately $8 billion annually. Despite this value, the clinical laboratory fee schedule lacks the stability and predictability laboratories need to maintain access to testing services that are relied upon by millions of patients and clinicians and continue investing in innovation. The primary challenges lie in the foundational flaws of the Protecting Access to Medicare Act, or PAMA. When PAMA became law in 2014, Congress intended Medicare laboratory rates to reflect the commercial market by using a weighted median of private payer rates reported to CMS. However, the goal was not achieved. PAMA's challenges fall into three core areas. First, CMS lacks access to timely and comprehensive commercial market data that reflect all segments of the laboratory market: hospital outreach, independent, and physician office laboratories, resulting in rates based on incomplete and outdated information. During the only data collection period since enactment of PAMA, CMS based rates on private payer data reported by fewer than 1% of laboratories. Hospital and physician office laboratories were significantly underrepresented, resulting in Medicare payment rates that did not accurately reflect the broader market. And absent further congressional action, laboratories soon will be required to report private payer data from 2019. Those data, collected before the COVID pandemic, will be used to set the clinical laboratory fee schedule for rates for 2027 through 2029. Second, because of flawed data, Medicare payment reductions have been far greater than Congress intended, and current law allows those reductions to continue. Between 2018 and 2020, Medicare payments to laboratories were cut by nearly $4 billion. That's about 4 times the $1 billion reductions projected by the Congressional Budget Office for that period. Congress has appropriately delayed further reporting requirements and additional cuts several times, for which the ACLA is grateful. But without further intervention, deep cuts begin again on January 31st. Third, reporting requirements impose a significant administrative burden on both laboratories and CMS, discouraging participation in reporting and contributing to low-quality data. PAMA requires clinical laboratories to report each and every payment rate from each private payer and the associated volumes for all 1,600 codes on the CLFS. The Results Act fixes these problems. It would base CLFS rates on current, comprehensive, and representative commercial market data, establish guardrails to mitigate rate reductions, and prevent deep destabilizing payment cuts while dramatically reducing administrative burden on laboratories and CMS. I thank you for the opportunity to testify. The ACLA looks forward to continuing to work with this committee to advance common sense legislation that ensures Medicare beneficiaries continue to have access to the diagnostic services they rely on every day. I welcome your questions. Thank you.
Thank the gentlelady for yielding back. Now recognize Ms. Sullivan for her 5 minutes of testimony. Thank you.
Chairman Griffith.
Okay, you've been listening on Capitol Hill to a hearing about legislative proposals to support patient access to Medicare services. We'll keep an eye on that, see if anything newsworthy comes out of that hearing on the Capitol. Meanwhile, we're back in just a couple minutes. A very special 4-legged guest in the studio. You're not going to want to miss this. Has to do with the Puppy Bowl coming up in just a month. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Hey, a lot of talk of sports this show. You know, we got the big Peach Bowl tomorrow night here in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Then looking ahead to next month, you have the Super Bowl. But before you get to the Super Bowl on that Sunday, you got to have the Puppy Bowl. I mean, we look forward to this event every year. Team Rough versus Team Fluff. And there's going to be a little touch of Georgia once again in this year's Puppy Bowl. We got a packed house this morning talking all about it. We got Jennifer Siegel, CEO of Bosley's Place. Be learning more about Bosley's Place in just a minute. Caitlin Ross joining us here in studio. And Caitlin, you are going to introduce us to a very special guest.
The most special of all of the guests. This is so exciting. As soon as I saw this picture yesterday, I said, we need this at 11 Alive.
Yeah.
This is Beanie. Take the puppy cam. This is the best camera we've ever had, but B, super exciting. Beanie is not only playing for Team Rough, she is playing to educate people about animal rescue right here in Georgia, and we could not have a better advocate than Jennifer. Jennifer, this is your life's mission. It's your purpose. Talk to us about Beanie and how Beanie became part of the Puppy Bowl.
So Beanie came to us at just couple hours old. She was found in a box with her siblings. They still have their umbilical cords. They were super young, freshly born. And Clayton County Animal Control gave us a call, and that's what we do at Bosley's Place is neonatal critical care. So we took them in, we raised them, and then there's a casting call for Puppy Bowl. So I submitted these adorable little munchkins, and they wrote us back, and they said they loved her, and they wanted to have her in it.
I love her too. She is so cute. Can you talk a little bit about her personality and what makes her a great fit for Puppy Bowl?
Oh, well, she is just smushable. I'm not going to brag about Bosley's Place puppies, but they are all bottle fed and they are all lovers. And she's just exceedingly affectionate. She's spunky. She's perfect. She's just a perfect puppy. And she's energetic and adorable. And that's what they want.
Yeah, and Dan, you said you've watched Puppy Bowl before?
I'd never miss it. I mean, it's one of the best ways to pregame the Super Bowl. So which team? Team Rough or Fluff?
This year we are Team Rough.
Okay, gotcha. We're all going to be watching. I think about Bosley's Place and just how incredible it is and how unique it is, too. Is there any other place like it in America?
No, there's not. We and the way that we're unique is that we are exclusively for orphaned newborn puppies. So we don't work like other rescues. We'll go and help shelter dogs, and while the shelter may get a call for a newborn, it never really goes into the shelter. It'll come directly to us. It's just our exclusive focus, and I think that's why we're so good. It's because it's the only thing we do.
Which is just so important. It's such a need, because if we could broaden it out a little bit, there is such a need for animal welfare care in our state and attention to these issues.
There certainly is. I mean, while I'm covering just this tiny little fraction of animal welfare, the issues are huge. And, I think that more awareness, thank you for having me today, more awareness about animal welfare. There's so many topics that we could cover that need assistance, but most importantly, awareness and education that we do have issues, and we do have an overpopulation issue. We do have a shelter overcrowding issue. We need more people to step up and love animals.
We sure do, yeah.
You just celebrated 10 years.
Yes.
What do you need from the community to get another decade out of Bosley's Place?
You want another decade out of me?
Yes.
We need it.
Well, I'll tell you, we are 100% run by volunteers. Myself, I'm a volunteer. 100% on fosters. We are foster based. We do have a facility, but we reserve that for our adoption events and puppy yoga and our vetting on weekends. But we really need volunteers, we need fosters, and of course everybody needs money.
Yeah, always. How do you think Puppy Bowl helps with that mission, not only helping to raise money for the rescues, but helping to educate people?
This is an excellent question. I think that Puppy Bowl in itself, it pulls together, I think they had 130 rescues participate, or 130 rescue puppies. I'm not sure if it was either one. But there's so many rescues across the country that are participating, and the true value comes between now and Puppy Bowl, because there's a lot of press happening and a lot of stations like you that are coming out and calling these rescues and saying, come on air, we want to talk more about you. So that is the biggest benefit, is you guys, truly. It's more awareness. We have been able to create some great partnerships over the years. They're not necessarily affiliated with Puppy Bowl, but one of our best partnerships, they found us from Puppy Bowl, and it's the Farmer's Dog. And they literally drive truckloads of their amazing food to support my puppies when they're weaning from the bottle. So that's just one partnership, but that's truly the value in it.
You're about a month out from the Puppy Bowl now. You're going to be on the national stage at that point. What's next for Beanie after the Puppy Bowl?
Oh, well, Beanie's set. She's all set. She has the most amazing home. Her mom loves her to pieces. I remember the day I had to take her away to go to filming.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, and I'm like, she'll be fine. I swear I can take care of a dog. I'm a dog person, I promise. But Beanie has the most incredible family, and she just has a life of love in front of her.
Oh, I love that so much. And it's not just Beanie who has a life in front of her. It is these other babies. You take care of so many neonatal puppies, and we have 2 of them with us in the studio.
Oh, we
do. They're so tiny, you didn't even see them, right?
I didn't even know. Oh, my God.
Surprise puppies.
Wow.
Yeah, talk to us about these puppies.
Surprise! I brought Meathead and Little Robbie. They're from my Rob Reiner legacy litter. And these are just 2. There's 7 puppies in this litter. I just brought 2 with me. They were born to a very young mom who wasn't prepared to bring a mom. She didn't produce any milk, and they were pretty critical when we got them, and they were just a few hours old.
Wow, and I know that you rescued them in partnership with, was it Clayton County Animal Control? Or no, that was Beanie.
No, Beanie came from Clayton County. This litter was an owner surrender.
Wow.
We had an owner that was just, didn't really know what to do. Her mom needed medical care, so we stepped in and we vetted all of the adult dogs in the home, got them groomed because they're doodles.
Right.
And then we took the babies because mom wasn't able to care for them.
And this is such an intense process. Can you talk to people about what this looks like when you take in a puppy that's just hours old?
Well, it means my vacation's over.
Yeah.
They need care every 2 hours. We have to help them eliminate. Mom does a lot for a puppy. She keeps them warm. She feeds them. She licks them to help them eliminate what goes in must come out, and it keeps them on track. So without mom, it's up to us every 2 hours, even throughout the night. So we feed them, we bathe them, we keep them clean, we keep them in a sterile, plush environment, so they're nice and cozy and keep them warm.
Oh, that's so sweet. And I know one of them is having a little bit of trouble.
Yes, this is brand new news, so everybody's going to learn right here. Meathead, one of the puppies that I brought, they were inbred. The mom was only a year old, and she got pregnant by her father. And there were 2 puppies in there that had half tails, and I knew that it was a congenital defect. With these defects, you kind of just have to wait and see what comes out. And they turned 3 weeks old on Monday, and at 3 weeks, it's an adorable phase. They get up on all 4s and start walking, and Meathead didn't get up on all 4s. He's only up on his front legs. So we're going to provide him with some extra physical therapies so that he can get up on all 4s and be like his siblings.
It's just so amazing, all of the support that you give to these animals.
Whatever they need.
Hats off to you, Jennifer. It's so wonderful having you on and learning more about Bosley's Place. Anything you want to leave people with today?
Follow us on social media. Learn more about us. If you have it in your heart and you want to foster, bring puppies in your home. And if it's not us, because we're just puppies, some people like old dogs, find any rescue in your area and pitch in and help, because we all need it.
Absolutely.
Kaylin, you've been covering these stories for so long.
Yes.
What makes Bosley so unique and so memorable for you?
It's the care. I mean, from the moment these puppies are born, they have such a supportive and loving environment. They have volunteers who drive hours to make sure that they can support these dogs. And it's not just while they're in that puppy stage. Jennifer follows these dogs throughout their lives. She gives updates on the dogs that she's helped adopt and foster. She makes sure that the communities are connected to the puppies. So it's really just this overall care that comes with a good dose of education. Jennifer is so knowledgeable about puppies, animal welfare, raising dogs that are going to be both adorable and well-behaved. And so she is just an incredible advocate, and I think such an asset for our community.
Caitlin and Jennifer, thank you to you both. Great having you on. Great having our friends here today. I'd stay and do another hour, but I got some puppy cuddles. To take care of.
Puppy couples coming up.
So that's why we're tossing it over to another hour of local news right here. Stick around because we continue to follow the latest out of Minneapolis. There's going to be a report coming up in just a moment. Also going to be following the latest from that MARTA meeting. What is to come as they prepare for the World Cup, just about 5 months away, and they are getting ready for some big numbers when it comes to riders. That's coming up in just a couple minutes. Stick around. But I'm going to leave you with a shot of Beanie. Beanie, where are you going, buddy? Great having you here in studio, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Oh, my God.